What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, we've got another live fantasy football mock draft for you back on ESPN with a 12-team full PPR mock where we will be selecting first overall. It should be pretty interesting. And while we wait for this thing to load, a quick reminder, if you enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear it in the comment section. Agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have. We'll do our best to answer them all. But with that being said, let's get to it. We're on the clock. We're picking first overall. It's been a while since we've done a 12-teamer with the first overall pick, and here we're not going to overthink it. We're going to select Christian McCaffrey. He is the 101. He was my 101 last year. And for anyone that's still a believer in the running back position, I feel like he has to be your 101 yet again this year. And not really much else to say. Now, we are picking at the extreme here, obviously first overall pick, so it's going to be some time until we make another selection, but it's okay. We've got McCaffrey as that kind of anchor, so we can maybe wait on the running back position until we add another one of those rushers. But other than that, look, the first four picks are in. They are obviously McCaffrey at the 101 for us. Then you saw CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, so the top two wide receivers, and then followed by Breece Hall and Bijan Robinson, the next top two running backs. I like to see that. I like to see both Breece and Bijan being top five guys. Now, for my own selfish reasons, if I'm in a 10 or 12 team league come draft day, August, September, I hope they fall to me. But these drafters are going after kind of my own philosophy of investing in the running back position early, and especially in guys that I really like in Breece and Bijan. Then you see Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, that next group of wide receivers who I think you could argue are still in that same tier as CeeDee and Tyreek. In fact, Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson also kind of belong in that conversation. Jonathan Taylor is kind of sandwiched in there as the fourth overall running back. Then A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, and Puka Nacua to round out the first round. And, I think that is a pretty typical first round in terms of names that you're going to hear. And then early second round are the remainder of the top guys. Who do I mean by the top guys? They are Saquon, they are Jahmyr Gibbs, they're Kyren Williams at the running back position. Wide receiver, there is a drop-off at the wide receiver position afterwards. I've said it before, I'm going to continue to say it. After Puka Nacua, if I don't get, him or another one of those top wide receivers, I'm perfectly fine on waiting for wide receiver for a guy like a Drake London later on, for maybe a Nico Collins. Let's kind of sort it out here a little bit better. Jalen Waddle, Cooper Kupp. So yeah, there are a lot of different options here, right? Now, going back to the pick history, let's see what we are working with in the second round after that huge run on running backs. Wow, Saquon, Gibbs, Kyren, then Derrick Henry in a full PPR league. I think that's a little bit too early. Rachaad White immediately afterwards. To me, you can make the argument that Rachaad White should be drafted ahead of Derrick Henry. Then you see Devontae Adams, a question mark wide receiver, big time question mark with age, with quarterback uncertainty. So that's a guy that I'm typically staying away from. Then Olave, then Michael Pittman, and then Isaiah Pacheco was just drafted. There goes Travis Etienne, top five guy in PPR formats from last year. So he would have been tempting for me. I'm not going to lie to you, right? Here now, if this plays out the way I'm thinking, if we go running back, then, Kamara comes to mind, Joe Mixon, James Cook, but I'm kind of tempted to go with a build that I haven't ever gone with before. At least I don't think I've ever got this duo. I'm going to go with Marvin Harrison Jr., the rookie wide receiver for Arizona, and then Drake London. I'm very high on Drake London, And I've been on record saying with Marvin Harrison, my biggest issue with Marvin Harrison is his draft cost. Now, ESPN has him ranked lower, as you can see. I got him at the end of the second round in a 12-team league. So, 24th overall. And there's a big difference between drafting him 24th overall or 11th overall, right? So, if you even want to make the argument that 24th overall is still a little bit too early when somebody like a Nico Collins is there, when Jalen Waddle is there, then I have zero issues with that. I understand it. In fact, Nico Collins just went with the 5th pick in the 3rd round. It's more so me doing this because I do want to shed some light on Marvin Harrison Jr. because I have been dogging him, but through no fault of his own. Again, it's been the really elevated ADP and then just the snubbing of Malik Neighbors so much lower. But I think this is where it gets into an acceptable range. So I wanted to show him some love, right? Let's go to the pick history now, though. Back there. And take a look at this 3rd round in general. We won Drake London. Then you see Mixon, Laporta, A-Chain, Nico Collins, James Cook, Mike Evans, and now Stephon Diggs, followed by Josh Jacobs. Mike Evans is a guy that, man, I know he was so just pleasant of a surprise last year, but I'm still at this current draft price probably staying away from him. I'd rather have a Nico Collins, right? I'd rather have a Cooper Kupp. I'd rather have a Jalen Waddle. Speaking of Jalen Waddle, he goes in that range as well. After Josh Jacobs went Alvin Kamara, then Jalen Waddle didn't DK Metcalf. So what we could have done is we could have only drafted Drake London and then drafted a running back, right? We'd have Christian McCaffrey and then let's just say James Cook or Alvin Kamara. That probably would have been one of those two guys, and I would have been very content at running back to afterwards just wait. But now I think I don't want to jinx it. If this goes my way, I can get one of these guys right here in this range, from Kenneth all the way to down to Zamir White, and I'd be decently happy. Making the fact better is that I do have, again, Christian McCaffrey, who is just a cheat code at that position. In this 4th round, Brendan Ayuk, Josh Allen, first quarterback off the board, all the way in the 4th round. Again, I kind of agree with these ESPN rankings more so than some other platforms like fantasypros or Yahoo. Like, quarterbacks to me should be going like in the 3rd, 4th round, probably 4th round if I had to be honest with you. Then Zay Flowers, then DJ Moore, Devonta Smith, Jalen Hurts afterwards. We'll see. Ooh, there goes Kenneth Walker. He doesn't make it back to us. I thought it'd be a long shot, but it is what it is. If Patty Mahomes is there, right now, I wouldn't be mad at it either, right? Potentially going that direction. Tight end, Mark Andrews, Trey McBride, Dalton Kincaid are all still there. I've already got Marvin Harrison and Drake London, so man, getting McBride and or Kyle Pitts feels a little non-ideal, but I don't know. I probably, looking back at it, hindsight, I would have gone elsewhere. Wouldn't have gone Marvin Harrison. Here, I'm going to take Aaron Jones as one of my picks. I want to get another running back. I like what he brings as a pass catcher. He was paid by the Minnesota Vikings. Here, if I had to go with another guy, it'd be Zamir White, but I'm going to take a chance that, he falls, something like that. So quarterback here, Patrick Mahomes is really tempting. Tight end, I mean, I'm going to hope Evan Ingram falls to me. I think Patrick Mahomes right now is a really good value. So I'm going to commit to that. I also was debating potentially going with a flex play. maybe one of these wide receivers. But I think when we get to this range of wide receivers, again, there's some really good value in the later rounds. But we got Patrick Mahomes, who I think is we got him in the 5th round. I think that's decent value. And again, like the first quarterback taken was Josh Allen with the 2nd pick in the 4th. I got Patrick Mahomes with the 1st pick in the 5th round, so pretty much an entire round later. I think that's much better value. That's why I always say don't be the first one to select a quarterback, especially these tier 1 quarterbacks. After Patty Mahomes, Ramondre, Deebo Samuel, Malik Neighbors, there goes Trey McBride at the 505. Tremendous value. And, I imagine that we're going to see a run on some tight ends. Yeah, as soon as I say that, there goes Dalton Kincaid. There was no reason for me to even bother saying, I hope Dalton Kincaid falls to us. It's going to happen right here. He's going to be selected right here. Evan Ingram is my target. I'm going to put it out there. Evan Ingram is my target. Zamir White just got drafted. I mean, yeah, I knew that was going to happen. I knew there was no chance in hell Zamir White was going to get back to us. He is a high upside running back that people are taking a shot on right around this range, 5th, 6th round, depending on the size of your leagues. And guess what? I completely get it. So that's a pick that makes sense. I think George Pickens is also in that category of high upside wide receivers. And he went 2 picks after Zamir White. It was T. Higgins, then George Pickens, then David Montgomery, and Keenan Allen. So right now, I mean, yeah, we started out at the extreme at the 101. I think there's balance. I would have preferred, looking back at it, give me in the second, at the turn of the 2nd and 3rd round, probably another running back, so maybe James Cook, Alvin Kamara, and then I'll take Drake London. And then, where I took Aaron Jones and Patrick Mahomes at that next turn, I could have taken, Trey McBride and Patrick Mahomes, or Malik Neighbors and Trey McBride, something like that. Damn. It hurts to see that. That's my reaction because Evan Ingram just got selected. Man, I put it out there and I got shot down pretty quickly. Evan Ingram will not be on our roster. So tight end wise, we are, looking at the situation, and I think Kyle Pitts is the highest upside guy. So we probably forced the Patrick Mahomes pick a little bit. Let's look at the quarterbacks that are still left available. Yeah, I mean, CJ Stroud is still there. If you told me I could have CJ Stroud basically 2 rounds later, I mean, it's not a guarantee, right? But that's the better value. So, man, the run on tight ends. Yep. All right, forget it. We're punting on the tight end position. We're not getting Kittle. We're not getting Pitts. So I guess, Jake Ferguson, TJ Hawkinson, one of those guys, right? But this is always the tough bit. You kind of looking at the squad, deciding whether you want to double up on some teams, not knowing, what type of runs you're going to see, if one of these guys will fall to you, if they won't. I feel like we started off well. We had some pretty good momentum, kind of shifted a little bit. So again, it's all right. This is why we do these mock drafts, because next time when we look at this situation, we'll still start out the same way, Christian McCaffrey, but then at the 2-3 turn, maybe we'll go with a running back and a wide receiver, or unless, maybe two wide receivers again, but not necessarily this exact duo. And we can afterwards not necessarily, again, force the quarterback situation. So I do think there's a lot of different ways that this this type of roster construction can pan out. Here, I already know who I'm going. I am going with Christian Kirk as one of my picks, getting him as my flex play. And then I want to get another running back here. I'm going to go with Zach Moss, a starting running back at this point in time. I like the value. And then we pretty much got to get like one more turn of picks, get a tight end, get a bench player, and I think we're pretty much set. Because, yeah, like I said, we've got our starting roster pretty much taken care of. Mahomes, McCaffrey, Aaron Jones, Marvin Harrison, Drake London, Christian Kirk, Zach Moss, and, yeah, see, this is what I mean. C.J. Stroud was picked basically 2 rounds after we went with Patrick Mahomes. So it's a combination of maybe, auto picks. It's a combination of ESPN, again, devaluing the quarterback position. So, yeah, in retrospect, I would have much rather done that. We kind of identifying the potential issues I had here. Went quarterback a little bit too early, even though, I still think the value of Mahomes in, what was it, the 5th round is good value, but, C.J. Stroud in the 7th round is much better value. So, we'll hand up, we'll be honest there. And then I probably should have drafted Trey McBride at some point in time, but I got a little bit scared off because I already invested in Marvin Harrison. I don't want to invest that heavily in the Arizona offense where, I could see that being a squad where it's one of those teams that's one of the worst in football. And even though there's going to be big performances for Harrison, for McBride, there's also going to be weeks where that offense maybe doesn't get you more than combined more than 14 points. So because of that reason, I do want to limit myself in terms of exposure for those type of teams. Now here in the 7th round after we went Moss, obviously C.J. Stroud, Terry McLaurin, Christian Watson, Najee, Dak, DeAndre Hopkins, Joe Burrow, Marquise, Ladd McConkey shooting up boards, Jordan Addison, Jake Ferguson. The next tight end that I would have been targeting is drafted. And then you see Jaden Daniels, Zeke, and Jordan Love here in the 8th round. So we're going to make 2 more picks and kind of wrap this thing up. The guys that I would be targeting at this point in time, let's take a quick look. Wide receiver, there's a couple of guys. I've said before I like Deontay. I said before that I think Keon Coleman is worth taking a chance on. While I like Rome Odunze, I don't like his real life situation with all those different weapons that he has to contend with. So tight end. Oh, David Njoku was picked. So we're down to T.J. Hawkinson. We're down to Dallas Goedert. We're going to be streaming this position, folks. That is what that looks like. So, yeah, that's my biggest takeaway here. I should have done that pivot to tight end earlier. Much easier to find, a starting caliber quarterback later on than a starting caliber tight end afterwards. So here, let's go with one of those wide receivers. I'll probably go with Deontay Johnson, like I mentioned. And then I can wait on a running back. I think Raheem Mostert's actually decent value. Tight end, I don't want to force a tight end. So I'll take Raheem Mostert here. And then what I will do is I will queue up for tight end 2 guys. I will queue up T.J. Hawkinson. I will queue up Dallas Goedert, or maybe even Dalton Schultz. We'll end up with one of these guys, but overall, this is kind of what our roster looks like, right? Pencil in one of these guys at tight end: Mahomes, McCaffrey, Aaron Jones, Marvin Harrison, Drake London, Christian Kirk, Zach Moss, Deontay Johnson, Raheem Mostert. Again, next time we do this, we're gonna approach it a little bit differently, but I hope this was still helpful for all those kind of potentially in this situation, being able to circumnavigate it and seeing what works, what doesn't, and kind of learning from potential mistakes or from roster constructions. And if you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. But in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.